Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 27th. Welcome to Points of the Crown. We have an interesting show here tonight. I have a slurry of guests that may or may not be showing up, but thanks to all of you that are already watching on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course on YouTube. If you're hanging out and watching, please hit the like button and all that really dumb stuff. That really dumb stuff that we ask you to do. I am happy to be here. It has been a productive week, but I also feel like I have been slipping through time. It's already Wednesday. It's already Wednesday evening. And I feel like I've gotten a lot done. At the same time, I feel like I haven't done a damn thing. But I'm happy to be here hanging out with you guys. We're going to go over a number of things tonight. We're going to be talking about last weekend's show. Some of you were there as the Nightmare Weekend Chicago. James will be, I think he'll be reporting at some point on Saratoga, how that went. And then, of course, we'll be talking about what we got coming up. But first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about some stuff that's been on the news lately. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't know if you heard about this. But there's been a lot of talk about a certain gorilla in the room. What's up, Dave? What's happening, man? You guys feel free to weigh in on this in the chat. But the question has been asked, it's been posed, who would win in a fight? 100 men versus one gorilla. I'm sure y'all have heard this, beaten to death. And speaking of beating to death, I think if the gorilla is this size, the gorilla wins. I was thinking about this because I have time to think about things. I'm on the way home from Chicago. I was licking my wounds, as per se. Chicago didn't quite go my way. That's fine. We'll talk about it. But I was thinking about this gorilla situation, and there is an old term about the 3%, and a lot of people think that it's like a Hell's Angels thing and everything. And it's been adopted by different gangs and whatnot. But the idea is that anytime that there's conflict, that only 3% of a nation's people will actually rise to go fight. So that's fighting age, men, women, that sort of thing that are going to rise to the occasion. So if you figure you got 100 people fighting one gorilla, in theory, you really only got 3 people fighting one gorilla. And I think given those odds, I'm not fighting a gorilla. So I'm not in that 3%. Sorry, I'm not getting slaughtered to death by a giant gorilla. I did pose another question on Facebook, and no one touched it with a 100-foot pole. So if anybody here in the chat wants to chime in on it, everyone was going on about how the men would handle it, like how many would be on their phones recording, who would be like explaining to the other guys how to beat the gorilla, or just like too many cooks in the kitchen sort of thing. I posed the question and no one touched it. So I'll ask you guys, my lovely chat, what if it was 100 women versus one gorilla? 100 women. Do you think they would do better or worse than the 100 men? And no one responded to it. I don't know why. Probably because the women wouldn't want to fight a girl to begin with. Let's face it. Men die earlier for a reason, and it's probably because we're more likely to take on a challenge like this. So, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to jump into just some of the topics that I have. I have a few different things to talk about. As much as you want to hear me ramble about gorillas all night, let's let's dive into it. Let's talk about how last weekend went. Dave was there. Dave, if you would like to put your summation of Nightmare Weekend in the chat, please do so. Feel free to enlighten our fellow chatmates here. I'm gonna play. Let's see if we can add this to the stage here. This video I shot pretty close to noon on Sunday. Now, granted, it was busier Saturday, but I knew that coming to a first year show, yes, it was. First year show is always got some built-in risk. Sometimes it goes swimmingly, sometimes it shows promise and all that good stuff. And I'm going to start this conversation off with I don't necessarily fault GalaxyCon Nightmare Weekend. Rosemont, from my experience, has had a checkered past with first year shows for a number of reasons. If you've never been to Rosemont, it is on the west side of Chicago. I believe it's on the west side of Chicago, and it is built to be like a little convention city. And can I just make this loop? Is that a thing I can do? Or do I have to hit this every time? I'm going to hit it every time. So, like, if you were to drive through downtown Chicago or Cleveland or whatever city you're going around, even on the outskirts, you're going to see billboards. You're going to see, like, at the convention center, they're going to have their sign lit up, like, hey, this weekend we got this convention going on. Rosemont, there are businesses there. There are other things other than the convention center, obviously. At the same time, I don't think it gets the foot traffic driving into the city, just like casual people going about their daily business that you would in other cities and metropolitan areas. On top of that, they had several other conventions going around the same time. It was Free Comic Book Day. There's a lot of reasons that chalked up to like you don't see too many people in this footage here. Oh, granted, this is earlier on Sunday. It did pick up a little bit later Saturday afternoon. Presumably, people they go eat lunch. They they've got church and family stuff. It's gonna pick up. But all in all, there were a lot of disgruntled people at this convention, mostly from the vendor side of things. And I'm not going to speak for anybody. They can chime in on their own. But the foot traffic was a bit light. Again, first year show, calculated risk. I think GalaxyCon puts on a fantastic show in general. And I think that if they keep at it and they keep growing it, I think it's going to be a good show. There's a number of other challenges with this layout here. So if you guys are hanging out in the chat, see we got a couple people hanging out on Facebook, a couple people hanging out on Instagram. Please say hi, howdy do, all that good stuff. Dave chimes in with, I feel most just came for the celebrities and did a little shopping. That I'd say that's probably accurate. I did meet a few folks that said that they weren't there for the celebrities. They just like seeing the art. There were a couple of those, but the vast majority, it was we were here to see Elvira. She was a good get. A lot of people were there to see Elvira. What was the other big? Oh, Eli Roth was there. They had a really cool display for the Thanksgiving movie. I met one of the people that were in the Thanksgiving movie. He was wandering around, I believe, on Saturday. I don't know his name. I don't watch a whole lot of horror movies, so sorry, guys. That might be surprising, seeing as I have a whole wall of horror prints by me. But all in all, the Rosemont Convention Center also has this other problem here, and you can see it right here. Can you see my mouse? Oh, here you can. There you can't. So in the middle of the screen, you can see that there is a giant pillar and a row of giant pillars. And for the most part, if your planning goes accordingly, most of these pillars will be baked into an aisle where it's not really bothering your booth. It's not really an issue. It's not protruding into anything. I'm going to show you guys here real quick what my situation was. So is it coming up? Oh, I need to add this to the stage here. Add. There you go. So when I showed up, I bought a corner booth, and this was the side of my booth. It's this giant pillar, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna roll with the punches because I know this convention center, and there's pillars everywhere, and it was luck of the draw. That's what I got. And to be fair, um, sure, I could go raise a stink and raise hell. That just means somebody else is going to get stuck here. And in my mind, I was like, well, I've got a lot that I can do with my display. There's a lot of things I can do. So I'll just build around it, kind of disguise it. You can see there. And I did my darndest to try to blow that up a little bit for you guys. I don't normally do, I've got sort of like was that back in grade school, the science fair project, like the trifold billboard. My thought process was typically I would have the corner open so you can see me from far away. But I was like, there wasn't a whole lot over that way. So I'll just make like a trifold. I didn't technically have enough stuff to hang up, so I kind of pulled everything out of the arsenal I could to hang up. And we made the most of what we could with it. Let me see here. So yeah, all in all, sad to report, this was my worst convention ever. And I had a feeling it was going to go that way. So I'm not like angry. I'm not bitter. In fact, I feel kind of bad. A lot of people packed up and left early. A lot of people. I was talking to one of my neighbors because I'm facing away from the show. I'm kind of towards the back, called the back 70-yard line, and they're like, we counted over 30 some odd tables that have already packed up and gone on Sunday, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. I mean, you never want to leave a show early. There's people that paid money to be there. At the same time, you also paid money to be there. And if you're not even breaking even for the weekend, and you know that you have a 6-hour drive back, sometimes you pack up early. I didn't like doing it. I didn't enjoy it. But when I was leaving, I didn't feel as bad when I left. And Dave says, I've went to smaller cons at Rosemont in the past, and the larger convention room had different cons going on. Yeah, downstairs they do some interesting stuff with those rooms. I don't believe. So this is my first time doing a convention upstairs at the Rosemont. As soon as I heard it was upstairs, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be small. Apparently there's other rooms that I have not been in there that they also will have like smaller conventions going on. Roy, thank you, buddy. Good display for what you had to work with. Thank you. I absolutely want to make the most of what I can with the situation. Put up everything that I can. We call it peacocking in the biz. My thought process has been this, and it's done well for me so far, is that if you try to have as big a presence as you can, you're more likely going to win at those shows. And so far, there's been a few shows this year where I've had buddies that, they're struggling numbers wise, and I'm setting personal bests, and I attribute it to going all in on the display. That being said, this is my first time putting up $0 on a Friday. And like I said, I wasn't mad. It doesn't feel good, but the folks that put on GalaxyCon, they're good people. They did try to advertise it. They did try to get the word out. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, which is unfortunate. I've had like 3 weeks off, and I was hoping to come back and be in the green. But there's only so much you can do. You got to stay positive. You got to try to keep selling. Or if you're me, you take long walks to recenter yourself, check in on your other friends. and that sort of thing. So I do believe that Galaxy is going to continue to grow this one, be more strategic with when they're doing it and all that good stuff. It just hurts a little bit because they're not the cheapest show to table at. Even though this show was a little bit cheaper, being a first year and being a Nightmare Weekend instead of a GalaxyCon, it was a little bit cheaper. I still didn't break even. That being said, I didn't feel good about packing up to leave, right? You don't want to do that. That being said, I didn't count a whole lot of people walking around that were just buying stuff. Okay, that aside, there was this concern in the back of my head. I'm like, this doesn't look good. But on my way out, I'm pushing my last cart out, and there's the 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning for the attendees, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to be like 20 minutes after. I'm like 5 minutes before the show closes, and I'm already out the door. One of the showrunners came out and they gave me a heartfelt thank you for being there. So I don't know. I'm the kind of guy that laughs at a funeral, like the Bare Naked Ladies. All right, I've got gallows humor. What are you gonna do, right? I've had a lot of great shows this year. I had one stinker. Had a feeling it might go that way. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I don't hold GalaxyCon personally responsible. I do feel like a little bit of a douche for leaving early. Okay, I do a little bit. I also didn't mind getting home at only 1 a.m. instead of like 3 a.m. So that's a thing. But let's see what you guys are saying. Ben, what's up, Ben? Vendor reports the name Nightmare was fitting to describe the show. No, I think what was the show where they had the pipe burst? It wasn't a sewage pipe, but it was like the sink pipe burst. I think that's more of a nightmare. Our friend that sells wands apparently made only about 700 in sales, and we know GalaxyCon booth prices. Yeah. Yeah. I don't typically talk numbers specifically, and I'll stay vague about it. But if that's how much she made, she beat me. I was not in a good spot. And yeah, it was a little rough. Let's see, we got Dave here. Hell, I would have left early if you weren't there. Dave, thank you for sparing my sanity. Dave, friend of the show, friend of mine that comes out to these men back at C2E2, kept me company for a little bit, chatting up, talking about this, that, the other. So Dave, appreciate you hanging out, man, picking up some books. Oh, and guess what? We got James in the back room. Let's bring him out. Let's see how Saratoga went. Hopefully he had better luck than I did. James, welcome to the show. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Sorry I'm a little late.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I felt like that gave me plenty of time to discuss this situation I had. And seeing as it took me almost all of 20 minutes to do it, that would just be 20 minutes of you going, oh, wow, oh, that sucks.
Yikes, that bad, huh?
Yeah, you'd be saying that for about 20 minutes. So
yikes. Yeah, okay, well, I'm glad I missed that, I guess. What's up, Dave?
So yeah, all in all, I mean, would I do it again? Not next year, but they I think whatever weekend they were talking about doing it, did they even put dates out? I don't even know if I got an email to like sign back up. I don't know if you heard anything, Ben. If Ben wants to chime in, James, I don't know if you have anyone like this in your life, but I am horribly unorganized, and the one person I can count on to have information as to what's going on and when is Ben.
Ben's the guy.
Interesting. Because I don't recall seeing an email about signing back up.
Yikes.
Even though I was talking to some of the attendees, and they said that they had dates posted for next year. That's interesting.
Hey, I see your booth is set up a little bit differently than it usually is. You have less space?
Yeah, that's I was showing the previous.
Gotcha.
That was my neighbor.
Hi, neighbor.
Yeah. So that's right. So I show up and they actually had GalaxyCon's one of the few conventions that's nice enough to actually give you 2 tables if you buy a corner booth.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it'll literally had a table set up right here. And I'm like,
Oh,
what
wow.
what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
at that point, I took a walk and I came back after I cooled off a bit, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna we're just gonna set up this monstrosity
There you go. That's all you
and go
can
with
do,
it.
right? You're already there. You might as well do something, make a couple bucks if you can. Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
and that's just it because I mean, there's a lot of time. Anytime that you do a show for the first time, there's calculated risk, right? If it's an established show, you can assume you're going to make some money, but who
Yeah.
knows? They might put you in the back. They might put you in a different room that's separate from the main hall. There's all kinds of things that can happen.
Oh, yeah. Always a
So,
gamble to do shows. I've spoken with people before, like, well, why would you take that risk if you don't know what the risk is? And it's like, well, you can't, you can't, it's like, I mean, it is sometimes it's like gambling. I mean, you don't know if you're gonna win if you don't play, right?
I'd
So
like to
yeah,
think of it as an investment, right? Sometimes you don't know how your investment's going to pan out.
right, right.
Gambling
It's a research investment. There you go.
Gambling sounds like I'm doomed to lose, and then I have some kind of problem.
Yeah, like the cards are technically stacked against us
I
as
mean, they
as
technically kind of are when you think about it.
yeah.
Um, so all in all, Saturday there was actually a decent crowd there for being comparing that to like their Richmond. I did the Richmond Nightmare Weekend
Mhm.
couple years back, their first year doing it. I felt like this was busier on Saturday.
It's good.
It's just with as many conventions as they have going on in that neighborhood. Like I think this weekend they have another like well established like horror show going on.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's like if you have already planned on going to that one and you like who's going to be there, why would you go to two? Or if you go to two, you're going to probably have to watch your money.
Yeah, that seems like a weird choice. I mean, from my perspective, right? It's always like if you're creating a convention, you would hope that you're filling a niche that isn't really fulfilled in the area, right? I mean, wouldn't you think like that you were setting something up like that would be what your thought process was too?
Well, that's the challenge with Rosemont is that there's so many conventions going on. In fact, even just I think even Chicago in general. I want to say the one year that I did C2E2, I think it was like the next weekend there was a Transformers convention going on, like specific to
Wow.
Transform. Maybe that wasn't it,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's always something going on. Um, yeah, the corner facing the corner in the back, right?
Yeah.
In another room. Yep, that would be my luck doing a first year show somewhere.
Very much.
Um, and
Yeah.
then that's absolutely it, man.
Yep.
There is a gamble. Minimize that risk. Set yourself up for the best success you can. Everything else, the weekend's going to do what it's going to do.
Yeah, and you can only do so much research, especially if you said this is their first time doing this specific show?
At Rosemont,
Okay.
so they've been adding on to Nightmare Weekends,
Yeah.
um, kind of expanding their brands. But it's weird because like Iowa, I think they've done 2 years in a row out in Iowa. Um, where they've done Nightmare Weekend and then an Animate Weekend. And last year they combined the two.
Yeah.
And talking to them, like when I was signing up for this year, they were gonna turn it into just like a generic, not generic, but like their brand name GalaxyCon, which is more of like a general
Yeah.
fan con.
Yeah.
Um, which I think they just need to stick with that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they already have a big name. Why not? Why water it down, right?
Well, and talking to some of the attendees walking around, it's like a lot of them say it kind of just feels like Fan Expo, but like smaller, obviously because smaller show.
Yeah.
But then they said a lot of like even me, it's like yeah, I've got a bunch of horror prints, but then I also got like Ninja Turtles and Spider Man and stuff. I mean, there were some vendors there that didn't have anything really horror related. So, is
Oh,
it
wow.
really a horror show or is this just like mini
Yeah.
Comic Con?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the shows that are like niched out are kind of slowly becoming like this, I don't know, melting pot of different types of people to really just kind of become another, more fan expos. It seems to be kind of the direction they're all kind of going without really intending doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when I was out at Richmond, I remember talking to. We got some echo there. I think we're good.
Me?
I think we're good. It was just for a second. I was out at Richmond. There was one guy in particular that he's like a horror aficionado, and he's like, dude, he's like, when you go to some of these, man, it's like they've got red lights on, they're playing heavy metal and like creepy sounds in the background. And he's like, it just feels like Comic-Con, man. But I'm like, they obviously have marketing people and business strategists that talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just the guy behind a table.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
All
I'm
in
here to
all.
make a couple bucks.
Exactly. All in all, I am still a fan of GalaxyCon. I'm still planning on doing as many shows with them as I can.
Yeah.
I know that I have a level headed about business where you got to kind of see the straight growth line through. You're gonna have some huge wins and some losses. It's gonna happen. Hey, there's a lot of people at that show that were, I mean, they weren't feeling it. It was
like ready to give up mode.
I know that there are some people talking this year about possibly giving up on doing conventions just because of it could be tumultuous, right? That can happen.
It's hard.
There are some that just have a hard time with, especially some of the bigger corporate brands with conventions, that the price goes up on the booth, all the expenses go up, and there's no sign of relief.
Yep.
So I think there's naturally some elasticity to all business where if you're growing and you can take an inch, you're going to take as many inches as you can until like, oh, it feels like it might snap, it might break, we might actually do some damage here. Maybe we need to relax some things, change some things up.
Yeah.
So I think this year's going to see some more of that. Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. Leading into that Saratoga was a good show. It's always my favorite show.
Let me I'll get you pulled up here real quick. Let's get the chat caught up, and I'll pull up your I actually have some pictures from Saratoga pulled up. Dave says they don't do Chicago much at all. This is, I believe this is, I don't know what that sound was up there. This is their first time doing Chicago, I believe. Ben says they hired a new guy who's one of the founders of Wizard World to help grow the brand. Feels like they're targeting all of the old Wizard World show. Look, yeah, Wizard World had a huge Chicago show. Apparently, they used to use like 2 of the big ballrooms there. When I say ballroom, I should say convention halls. So it's like giant convention hall, lobby area, another convention hall, and it was just slammed the whole time. But they also grew that over years.
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere. Yeah, and Days of the Dead is the kind of the reigning champ from what I hear, and they've really set a name for themselves, and I think that's what they're up against. And it's Fan Expo Chicago now. Yep, absolutely. Let's get I have where is it? Got too many tabs open. Saratoga. Here we go. So you said Saratoga.
Yeah,
your go-to shows.
Yeah, I do this show every year. I've done it for the last 3 years now, give or take. Feels like longer than that. They have a show in the spring and they have a show in the winter, early winter. Great. It's a great overall show. It's definitely growing. They've had to expand into the add-on hotel that they have. The hotel that's connected to the convention center there. So now that's where they do all their guests and stuff. The thing that I will say is that this year was just a little bit different. And I say that because we I actually had competition. So they've gotten a couple of new artists, or artist vendors, I guess maybe is the more appropriate term. To the show. One guy specifically who hits my niche like dead on in the head. I mean, he leans more. He leans more into the metal prints than I
Yeah.
do. Like I have like the metal prints and I have paper prints, and like I kind of like still try to treat myself like I am a comic artist, but I have all these options.
Right.
He just does metal prints, paper prints. That's it. But he's the guy who has the booth. And I should take more pictures. I gotta remember to do that for the next show. But um, it hurt me a little bit because of that little bit of competition. I've not had direct competition like that before at this show. Like there's other artists in the show. Don't get me wrong, but not other artists that do the metal, the way that I do them and stuff like that. However, I will give him this. He's still a little bit different. But yeah, so the competition hurt me. This is the first time I had competition. So
Oh man.
yeah, which kind of stinks.
So you have to go knock over his stuff at night.
And well, yeah, he's got a very impressive setup. I like again. I should take a picture.
You know his name?
The other no, I don't. I didn't even grab the name of the company.
Oh.
I run into him at Steel City Con too.
I think I might know who it is.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
He has a very big setup,
Maybe
but
I know.
it's not his art. Just make him an offer he can refuse.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's got a huge booth. So the problem with his booth is so like you have the big room, which is over here, and then the big room kind of leads to like this small room. It's over here. There's like the main hallway, and then there's a small room here. The doors going here, walking into the smaller room, he's right here with his booth that just blocks the entire view of the entire show floor in that area. So that didn't help anybody in that room. But here's what I will say, right? As an artist, I did probably a little bit better than I did the first year I did. But I will say I didn't break any records at the show, and I have more stuff. Which is kind of an interesting, like, you know what I mean, thought process. Like I'm almost doing exactly the same I did the first year, which good, bad, at least the trend is staying. At a certain level,
Yeah.
it's still a good show. Still a great show for me compared to some of the shows that I do. But my wife did phenomenal with her like boxes, 3D prints and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we like almost broke the bank with her setup. So, and we changed her setup a little bit. So I think that helped too.
Very cool. I'm gonna change pictures here real quick, but let's also welcome to the stage. We got Michael Pritchard joining. Michael, welcome to the chat tonight. Welcome, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Are you on the highway?
I'm all right. A little bit slightly under the weather, but I just picked up some comic books, so the weather is better. Okay. So that's all right.
It sounds like you're driving.
A little bit.
All right, Michael, we're gonna let you come back when you're got your situation figured out, buddy. It's really hard to hear you, man. The audio is very, very please don't take that personal. Audio is very hard to listen to. So please hit us back up when you are back in a sounded like you're driving down a highway. So yeah. What's up, Mikkel? What's happening? Please don't take offense to me muting you, dude. I never wanted to be that guy to be like, yeah, we're yanking you off the stage, but that was a bit much.
Yeah.
All right. Michael, there's a private chat on the side. So when you get to a spot where you can jump back on, just shoot us a message or shoot James a message, maybe, and we can get you in here. So you guys, I love this picture here. This dude like creeping through the window. That's great.
Yeah, that dude. I think that's the guy that actually bought. He was like, he even came over to my wife's table and was like, I was looking at it through the window, and I was just like, it was crazy because that's around the building, and I guess all these years we've been breaking fire code. They actually had the fire marshal there telling how many people could come in and leave as people were leaving. Like, so there was a line because of that. We were, I guess, breaking fire code for whatever reason.
When it comes to the fire code, you just got to remember stop, drop, and roll. That's it.
Yeah, we've had a fire alarm go off at every show for the last like 3 shows. It's outrageous.
It's awful.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like almost every show I go to, there's a fire alarm.
Is it you? If you're the
Maybe.
common thread,
Maybe, yeah. I'm the yeah, it's me.
must be
Sorry,
you.
guys. I'm pulling the lever.
Mikhail, while I got you in here, how was your departure from Chicago? I packed up and got out early. I started soft packing up around 4:00, and then around 5:00, it's like, we're getting out of here.
Time's the show in.
6.
All right. Well, you didn't leave like 4 hours early. You left like an hour early. Yeah.
Dude, there were people leaving like through the weekend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was not great.
Yeah.
Your setup looks good though, dude.
Thanks, man.
This is looking solid. So this is all your 11x17s up on the wall here. Got some medals down front, some bookmarks.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I went taller to compete with the other guy because I'm like, man, he's just taking up the whole space, for God's sake. So I went almost as high as those poles can go. So I want to say they go about 11 feet, 12 feet ish.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gotta go vertical, man.
Yep.
It was like if I could go back and talk to me before I started getting into this full time, like all the things I thought I needed to spend money on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like instead of, I think I was using what was I using? I was using grid wall, and then I had a like an 8-foot tall retracting banner kind of deal. But it was big. It was like 6 feet by 8 feet.
Oh,
like
nice.
It was a big guy, and it looked cool. It looked neat. But once I learned that I could have got a set of tripods for, I don't know, probably the price of the grid wall, it's like I should have just done that.
Yeah.
Yep. But
yeah.
Kel says it was a straight up terrible show. Lowdown was a complete. Oh no.
Ugh.
There was someone shared with me. I'm not gonna say who or who made the post, but someone shared a post with me that in regards to Chicago that they were trying to blame all the people that left early for loadout being a cluster, which doesn't make any sense at all.
There's less people load out. That makes absolutely 0 sense.
Yeah. Well, the rumor going around was that we were told to stay by our booths and not pack up till a certain time.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, the email said that you had to get a dock pass to get up to the second floor loading area.
Mm-hmm.
And you could not get a loading pass until you proved that your booth was tore down, and they were not handing out passes until 6:00.
Interesting.
So if you just do the simple math, if you're starting handing passes at 6:00 for people that have broken down their booths, that means that people start breaking down their booths long before 6:00.
Yeah. Right. Interesting.
Anyways, so Saratoga, that was a 2-day show, right?
Yeah. It's a 2-day show. It's in Saratoga, New York. It's in the Saratoga City Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show.
How did that new alien piece go?
It went okay.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked the amount of people who like. I guess the lack of sales, I should say, considering the guy who acted the alien was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I did the piece. I was like, that's fairly easy to knock out and whatever. And yeah, it looks great on metal. But I had a couple people come up to me like, "Oh, I didn't see that until after I already got his signature," which that kind of hurt a little bit. I was like, But again, and I think like the fire marshal thing, like that, I think was hurting people because people were like, "Oh, I have to go get my signature," so like people weren't walking around to buy stuff, and like, so that kind of stunk a little bit that they were doing that. I mean, I get it, don't get me wrong, but yeah. I think that definitely hurt us, like especially for like me, or like you can get some of these things signed, you
Right.
know. But
Hmm.
that's what it is.
Yeah. So they do you automatically like sign up for next year? They do that where they like give you applications, or do you have to like wait till it goes live?
Yeah, so that's what really stunk too, is like I had emailed the owner, I was like, the guy who runs the show, and I was like, "Yo, hey, any chance I can add a third table?" I'm like, "I think that would be beneficial for us." He's like 100% approved. And then I
Yeah.
went to go get the form, and then I saw that the prices of the tables have increased, like, I don't know, I want to say like 50 to 100, 50 to 75 bucks a table. And I was like,
Wow.
"Ooh, okay, that just made that a little bit on the unaffordable side to get a third table." I mean, because between me and my wife, obviously.
Right.
Um, so we're sticking with the 2 tables for now. I might see if I can work something out
Yeah.
later. But yeah, that definitely it hurts to sign up for the next show while you're at the show. But I mean, ultimately at some point you're gonna sign up for the next show, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, later.
I actually prefer it because that
Yeah.
way the money's already accounted for and all that good stuff.
Right, and then it completely takes that out of the equation of like, "Oh, I have to remember sign up for it," you know?
That's
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
halfway through last year. I was pretty much scheduled 12 months out,
Yeah, wow.
and because everyone's moving their dates around and like,
Yeah.
keep an eye out for when we post. Like, I've I have a fair amount of anxiety that I've buried for the first quarter of next year. I got to figure that out sooner than later.
Oh, yeah. I know, and I need to start looking at shows in the early of the year now, because yeah, this year really hurt us because we didn't have shows, and we talked about it. We didn't have shows until late mid March
Yep.
of this year. So it's like that was like 2.5 months of just no income
Yep.
for my wife, and that really stunk.
Yep. Yeah, Mikhail, I that dolly I've got, I was able to get everything in 2 loads, and it was a bit of a haul to to get all the way to the parking garage, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take my time, and it was almost serendipitous as I was pushing my cart out to the front. This little lady, she was pushing her cart out, and she was moving super slow, and she just didn't look left, didn't look right. She just walked right out in front of me, and I'm like, really? And I stopped right next to the fudge stand, and the guy next to me at the fudge stand's like, anybody last minute purchase fudge? I'm like, what does $20 get me? And he's like, this much. And he got me some like smoked whiskey fudge.
Ooh, nice.
And what was the other one? It was a pecan brittle or something like that.
Ooh,
Made the day a little bit better.
yeah, dude. Fudge always makes the day better.
Yeah. Let's see if
That's
we
awesome.
got let's see. Michael, can you hear me now?
Okay,
Close.
is it better?
That's way better.
All right, cool.
It sounded like you were driving down the highway a second ago, man.
Yeah, but only in my convertible.
Nice.
Just a Jeep Wrangler. Got that road fudge.
Yeah,
Dude.
dude. I get fudge almost every time I go to a show.
It is a little concerning though, because it does have like a bark to it, and that just literally comes from it sitting out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the good stuff though. It's the good stuff. The inside is gooey and you got the little bit of bark on the outside. You get that little bit of softness and you get the crunch. If it's done right. It's done right. It's good.
If it's left out long enough.
Yeah, just the right amount of time. You don't want the whole thing to get hard. You just want a little of the outer rim.
Do we have any fudge fans in the chat? Any fudge fans in the chat?
Yeah, what's your favorite fudge? I want to know.
haven't
Tells a lot about your character.
I haven't had it in a long time, and it was there. I was there. I wasn't going anywhere because this lady just cut right out in front of me. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, why not?
Smoked whiskey sounds good. But Michael, have you been indulging in any fudge lately?
No, and I just feel like this is just one big trap conversation. So no.
Absolutely not.
No trapping happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of cosplayers at the show. There's some pretty good ones. That dragon or the samurai Godzilla was pretty cool. He even had like when he had like buttons on his fingers that he could press to like make different sounds. So that was pretty neat. And then
Mhm.
like one of them like controlled like the lights on his back, and then one of them was like in Godzilla. That's funny. It was a
Very
blast.
interesting.
Uh,
I get asked every now and then, like if I ever thought about wearing a costume at a show, and I instantly just say absolutely not.
no, not a cosplayer guy.
Oh my god, I would sweat. I sweat wearing like this
Oh
at a
yeah, no, I me
convention.
either. Yeah.
I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt in the middle of winter and
Yeah.
still sweating.
Yeah, but that's usually just set up and tear down, right? Or are
Hey,
you're just like a warm guy all the time?
I run pretty hot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Whoa, what's this? We got Jay in the chat.
What's
What's up,
up?
brother? I haven't seen you in a minute. How you been, brother? We're just talking all things like conventions and fudge. So if you got what's your favorite fudge? Fudge. What's your favorite fudge? Put it in the chat. Migraines from the fudge. Not
Oh
a
man,
good time.
yeah, that's not good.
So that was. Let's just have a candid conversation here. Candid conversation.
Okay.
So you brought up that the price of the tables are going up.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been over the last year or so. Every convention I go to, there's someone that is bringing up and lamenting the fact that the booth price is going up another $75, $100, $200, whatever the price is. And inevitably, someone that's standing there will say, maybe us artists should unite. Maybe we should get our own thing. And, if we really put it together and we really stand together, if we wanted to walk out and protest, we could shut this whole thing down. Have you heard anyone say that? Because I've heard it probably a dozen times over the last
Have
year.
you really? Oh my god. I know, but I will admit that I've heard a lot more of like people talking about like our rights as artists at shows more frequently. Like a lot of shows, like not treating us well or whatever, and yada yada yada. And so like to me, like don't get me wrong, I'm in the exact same situation as everybody else, but to me, like it's somebody running a business, and they're gonna do what they got to do to maintain costs, or add in new people to come to the show, whatever, and plus inflation and all this other stuff. Like I get it, but yeah, no, I'm yeah, I've heard a lot more talks, I guess, about it than usual. I will admit, but I also am going to a lot more shows too, so that probably helps.
No.
But
Michael, have you heard many artists talking about uniting, unionizing, as it were?
No, I haven't been to any shows yet this year, so I'm pretty sure
Gotcha.
I'm out of this conversation. So
No.
yeah,
I for one, and I would need a strong convincing otherwise. There's not a fucking chance in hell I'm unionizing with half the crazy bastards that I work with. Because here's the deal: there are several that I would stand by if something stupid happened. Right?
yeah,
In fact, one of the first shows that I did when I went full time doing conventions, I had to have a HR moment with the showrunner because one of his buddies was hitting on high school girls.
shame.
So I don't have a problem like stepping up when I think something noble needs to happen.
Yeah,
I think the idea that like we have this loose alliance that like if enough people throw their hat in the ring that we're all gonna walk out. I'm not
Yeah.
walking out over something stupid. And most of the reasons we'd be walking out is because one person ended up getting put next to a pillar, which would be me. And no, like, does it suck that the prices are going up? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that I'm making money? Me.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. That's how I feel about it as well. It's like this is like the only thing that I can do is pay the fee, move on next year, come up with a strategy to do better. Right.
no.
And you're gonna have bad shows. You're gonna have good shows, regardless of whether the show is a good show or a bad show for you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like things ebb and flow all the time, it really is. It's really like who the guests are, how the economy is doing, like all those types
Yeah.
of things. Like really add up to how well you're going to do at that show. Plus, how well you're presented versus everybody else. Yada yada yada. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Literally spend hours talking about it.
And most of those situations aren't reasons to storm out of a building.
Right.
Exactly. Jay, yeah, it's been a minute. We're in the process of selling our home. That is a process indeed. And buying a new one, it's been a headache, but we did accept an offer on our house. Now you just got to get the other house, right? So if you accepted the offer, that means hopefully you found one already.
Yeah.
Otherwise, hopefully you got a nice tent or like a place you can stay.
Yeah, don't rent a
Listen,
U-Haul. They're expensive.
dude. That was one of the first conventions I did. I rented a U-Haul, and it ended up costing me more than my table. Like,
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that's what. Like, if I didn't, we lost Michael. If I didn't get like the hitch and stuff installed on my car, I was gonna be like, I don't know what else to do, or like just strap things to the top of the car.
yeah. Michael had to bail. Unstable internet. Have to move the router off this high wire, I guess.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Hey, appreciate you hanging out though, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Jay's still looking for a house. We're at a short-term hotel housing, basically a hotel with a full kitchen, dude.
Oh wow, nice.
So I was staying in a what was it? It's one of those extended stay places that has the little kitchenette in there.
Yeah.
And it's trying to eat healthier. They had all the cook. Sometimes they don't give you cookware. It's like you have the stovetop, but there's nothing to cook with.
Yeah.
Had a frying pan. So like, you know what? We're gonna go get some steaks. We're gonna eat some carnivore this weekend. Get a little New York strip. And I don't know if you've done this move, but after you cook the steak, you move it off to sit. Get a little bit of water and deglaze the pan. Make a little bit of a almost like a little sauce kind of deal to put on top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The steam from deglazing was enough to set off the fire alarm.
Ooh. Whoops.
When I'm at home, all I got to do is get the broomstick and just bump the button to reset it, right? You can snooze the fire alarm.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at this one, I'm like, there is no snooze button on this smoke detector.
Uh-oh.
So now I'm just panicking. Like,
Open all the windows.
like, are we going to have to evacuate? And there's no way to open the windows either. It's like, yeah, even with the little fan on the microwave, it was way too much steam that came off.
Oh wow.
And the phone rings and the gal's like, hey, you all right up there? Shows that your smoke alarm's going off. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just cooking. Got a little smoky. And she's like, you sure you're fine? I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, okay, we'll turn that off for you. I hang up and the alarm's still going off.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this moment of dread. Like, when you say you're going to turn it off, is that like now? Is that like an hour from now? And luckily it was like 30 seconds later. But that 30 seconds, I'm like, I might have to leave this place. That was pretty bad. But Jay, we're glad you're hanging out here tonight, buddy. It's been a minute since I've seen you. There was some random person that is probably actually someone I met in real life that was asking about that Belle Delphine Spider Gwen that I did. Like, is that still for sale?
Nice.
I'm like, nope. No, sir. That was sold a long time ago.
Nice.
But
hey, that's kind of cool. Somebody saw something from a while back and they're like, oh, I want to get that if I see him.
yeah. Well, I posted.
Cool.
Sometimes I don't know what to post on social media. So I'll just pick like random pictures that I posted a long time ago. Like, hey, this is a bunch of stuff I did that I liked.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. So they
nice.
Thing is, like, most of the time I get hit up on Facebook, people asking if something's for sale. They're not a real person. They're just trying to steal my money.
Yeah. I get that, or I get the NFT scammers. Those are always fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
From my LCS tried to buy it from me. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
See how much they'll buy it for, and then let me know. Then we can raise my
Yeah.
prices. This is top cover. I'm never gonna sell it. Me and the LCO start talking about you because sketch from you, Princess Leia with baby. Yeah, I remember doing that one. It's just pinching his little cheeks.
It's funny.
I was so happy with how I got her pinching his cheeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember that. I couldn't tell you what show that was, but I do remember talking with them.
That's cool.
Yellow 9.8. It's hard to get 9.8s on a sketch cover. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
CGC generally regards us drawing on covers as defacing the comic. So like if the ink goes through the page, or like if we like scuff up the paper at all with like the eraser,
yeah,
it greatly degrades the value. $450. Man, I need to raise my prices. Get that money.
Yeah. Oh
let me know if they sell it. That would be good to know. James, so I get the next thing lined up. What are your thoughts on the let's see. What are your thoughts on the 100 men versus a gorilla thing?
Dude, I just really barely caught that whatever the heck this is. And I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't understand the trend.
Yeah. I don't fully understand myself. But I feel like it's really hard to get 100 guys to do anything. And you gotta have one that like really good ringleader.
Yeah.
And then you gotta have like a handful of dudes that are like, that's right, let's do it. And then everybody else just kind of follows the social cues.
Yeah.
I think 90 of these guys are just gonna pull out their cell phone and record it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Not gonna be great.
That's crazy. Are we fighting the gorilla? Is that what we're doing here? Or
oh yeah.
Okay.
You're beating
100 men or a gorilla fighting to the death. Who wins?
I mean, you could beat them to submission, I guess.
Okay. Or
if you get them in like a figure
fighting
four,
the gorilla, you're dying. Yeah, there's no remorse. Gorillas do not have that. They're not like gonna look at you and be like, "Oh, please don't kill me." No, he's gonna curb stomp you.
It's interesting. It is an interesting cultural landmark because it used to be, would you rather fight? What was it? 100 horse-sized ducks or one duck-sized horse, or something like that. That used to be the one for the longest time, and that one made less sense.
Yeah,
because you're like, okay, either tiny horses or a big duck. What do you want to fight? Now it's just like a gorilla.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. The one that I had heard was going around like last year. It was like, what was it? Would you rather have? I think it was like 10 guys or it might have been a gorilla. I don't know, or something. Some wild animal that would clearly kill you. And like they were asking women this, and they were like, if you were trapped on an island,
would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear?
There it is, a man or a bear. Thank you. That's and it's like women were choosing a bear. And I'm like, why would you choose a bear? What are you gonna do with a bear? The bear's gonna just kill you.
Well, the concern is that if you're alone with a man in the woods, that the man would try to assault you. Surely the bear is fine, though.
I get it. Oh yeah,
you can reason with the bear.
Going to assault you.
Now, having spoken with Mikkel on a number of occasions, I trust her judgment on this one.
Okay, all right. I'll take your word for it.
as a perfectly fine male individual, if I was the male in the woods and I was confronted with a woman who had to make a choice and she chose the bear, I'd be like, have fun.
Yeah.
Call me if you need me. You don't even have to know my name. Just yell really loud. Yeah. And that gives me approximate information as to where that bear might be. And all I got to do is go stay down. Joking. Seriously, I'm joking. Well, I don't know that we'll land on a general consensus with the gorilla and the people, though. But there is another bit of news that came up here lately. And you might have heard about this. I'm not going to play the audio because I don't know if that will get me.
Wow, finally
Drunk.
getting GTA 6. Look at that.
Grand Theft Auto.
Man.
Grand Theft Auto is finally announcing that they might release a game.
Yeah, I heard you can already wishlist it on Steam.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
It looks, I mean, the graphics look great.
Yeah. It's been since the last one came out. It's been like 10 years already.
I think it's been like 10 years.
Yeah, it's been something like that.
Oh. Were you ever a big fan? Grand Theft Auto? You play them?
Yeah, I enjoyed I played since 3. Grand Theft Auto 3. I played 3, 4, and 5. I didn't like the last one that much, actually. I liked the post story gameplay. I liked that, but the actual story I was like,
Yeah.
But 4 was where it was at. Was that Vice City? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Vice City was where it's at. That was fun.
Mikkel, I'm glad you said something because I could see the viewer count, and after I made the bear joke, a bunch of people left. I'm like, oh no. I've crossed the line. I've crossed the line. Yes. I'm going to welcome to the stage. We got a very special guest tonight. He's been on the friend list for a while to join, but folks, please welcome DJ to the stage. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
It's been a minute.
Indeed it has. Indeed it has.
Yeah. Have you met James previously? Have you guys met at a show yet?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so. I am familiar with their work, though.
Oh, well, thank you. Hopefully that's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing. I've been following the Nickelodeon heroes and stuff you've been doing. So.
Oh yeah, it's been a fun little project for sure.
Rock on, man. They've been great.
Yeah, we're trying to do something with it, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to dive into that here momentarily. I do have your Instagram pulled up here. We'll take a quick peek at. But were you much of a Grand Theft Auto player, DJ?
My parents were the kind that wouldn't let me play when I was growing up, so lame. But
now you're making up for it, just living it.
Well, I don't have any next gen consoles, so I'm just watching these trailers like, wow, this is gonna be pretty cool for those who can actually afford to get it and actually have the consoles. But
yeah.
I mean, I still have a PlayStation 2. That's the main console that I play with. So,
oh man,
nice.
I kick it semi old school.
There you go, semi old school.
Because I just say it's old school, then someone in the chat or somebody will be like, "Well, really old school would be like Atari." It's like I get it. I know. Like,
PlayStation 2 is great.
Such a console.
Yeah, PlayStation 2 is great. I think at this point we can consider PlayStation 2 like classic. At this point, like.
Yeah,
I don't think people realize like PlayStation 2 came out in like 2000. Like
it was
it's
early
old.
2000.
Yeah, something like that. It was the first one. It wasn't the first console I had. First console I had was a PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2 is one we had for most of my childhood. So I've been like recollecting a lot of older PS2 games that I hadn't played in a long time and finally playing through them because there's a lot of them that I tried to play through when I was like 8 or 9 years old and I was too young to actually figure out what the heck to do. And so now it's like, my old self can, I'm better than he was, obviously, but it's a little pride thing.
Yeah. Well, friends in the chat, let us know if you plan on picking this up. As much as people were complaining, because people just like to complain about everything, I think this is going to obviously set some records when it comes out. But
I mean, the graphics alone.
Yeah.
See, N64.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
We only ever had like 3 games for the N64 because they were so expensive back then.
Oh, yeah.
But guarantee we played the hell out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if I care for. I mean, we'll have to see when the story comes out, but it really feels like it's playing up like this Bonnie and Clyde kind of feel with these two.
Definitely. Yeah. I've seen so many memes about like these are the most attractive video game characters of all time. It's like, well, okay, that's up for debate a little bit, but I see what they're talking about. I mean, it's everywhere.
What about the Mario Brothers? They weren't attractive.
Hey, there's an audience for that.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I did enjoy. I forget the guy's name in Grand Theft Auto 5. The like middle-aged white dude that you could play as that like. Rocky relationship, kids don't want to be around him. Just like disgruntled dude, whatever his name was. I enjoyed playing as him. That's fun. Yeah. But anyways.
Oh, GoldenEye. Yes.
GoldenEye, dude.
So damn good.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect Dark was the best sequel, non-sequel to that game.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree.
I loved I loved playing GoldenEye with all the cheats and stuff. They had to unlock all the guns and like that was fun. That was just fun.
I never did get the invincibility one where you have to beat the was it the factory or whatever? You have to beat it like breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Never got it.
Yeah, I don't know. My brother unlocked a lot of stuff for me, so
Yeah.
I just played. It was fun.
Ben says, I'm having a how do you do fellow kids moment remembering playing GTA 1 and 2. That was my first love, was the first one when it was top down.
Yeah.
Not many people played that.
I've never played that one.
Yeah.
I never did, but I've seen a lot of videos of it, and it's just so funny seeing like going from that to basically now it's a freaking movie. Wild.
The first one, we had a demo of it on like a shareware disc back when it was like socially acceptable just to pass around discs to put in your computer.
Yeah.
With like 100 different demos. Grand Theft Auto was one, and you could only play for like 45 seconds. And it was amazing.
That's funny.
Dang.
I played the hell out of that. And then yeah, once we finally got the full game, it was so glitchy and so buggy. But I still played that. That was a good time.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to this. I don't think I currently own anything I can play this on.
Yeah, me neither, man.
Well, you have to take out a freaking mortgage in order to like actually afford it, you know?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I bought a gaming PC during COVID, and it's already like beyond obsolete.
Oh,
That's just insane.
It came with, I think at the time it was like the 2090 Ti or something like that, was the like state of the art.
yeah.
And it was like 4 months later, the 3090 or whatever came out, and already I was obsolete. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, we might still be able to play this. Just on really low settings.
Yeah.
there's no
Frame
light,
rate
no
is like
shadows,
2.
just chugging. But DJ, wanted to talk to you, bud. We haven't spotlighted you on the show yet. I was just kind of looking through because I see your stuff pop up more on my Facebook than I do on Instagram, just because the algorithms be damned.
Yeah. Instagram algorithm.
It's
hate
funny.
it.
It's funny you say that because I'm familiar with him on TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok was the main place where my stuff actually got traction for a little bit. I mean, I'm like 11,000 followers now, which is like, it's off and on. But yeah, like Instagram, it's only getting to that number over the past like 2 months. I was at like 1,600 for like 5 years. Or not even that, like 1,200. It just refused to show anybody anything. So
that's where I'm at. That's where I'm stuck.
Algorithm just has to hate you for several years, and it's like, okay, we'll give you a break.
I really think you hit that. You hit that nostalgia bone like dead on, dude. With that piece, man. When you started working on it.
Oh yeah, that like
even
niche market.
I'm gonna give him a follow because this is cool. I want to see how this turns out.
Appreciate that. I'm currently getting the villain one colored as we speak by Dan Kemp, so I'll have that version of this on there hopefully in the next week or so. But
yeah, it looks like this one went pretty darn viral for you.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of funny. The main thing that's gone viral from this was just the video announcing that I was doing it in the first place.
Really?
Yeah, which was weird because what was it, like 2 or 3 months ago now? I didn't have any commissions that day, and I was like, well, I got to do something and be productive and like, you know, get some work in. And I was like, well, I thought of this thing where I wanted to draw some Nickelodeon characters in like comic style. I was like, okay, well, let's try that out. So I did a quick piece. I wasn't necessarily very happy with it, but I was like, oh, you know, I can post about this, show people that I'm actually doing stuff. And then that was the one on Facebook. And all of a sudden my phone was just going off like crazy because Facebook loved it for some unknown reason that it doesn't love any other my stuff nearly as much as that. And then there was a guy, he goes by C2 Collectors. I can't remember the exact tag, but he was on TikTok. And he like made a whole TikTok like freaking out about it, saying it was super cool and like, you know, do some of this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's try to add some more characters on this. And then Months later, this exists.
It's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, these are all like shows like, you know, everybody in their late 20s, early 30s, you know, grew up with, right? And my kind of thought was that a lot of these guys didn't get a whole lot of, you know, love outside of their small little cameos. And I figured, well, why not make them look a little cooler, you know?
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely, number one, I didn't have cable growing up. And then I haven't had cable since I've been an adult either.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I don't personally, I think I know, is that Ben 10 down on the left, or is that?
No. So,
I'm way off already.
So you say you didn't have cable. Mine was like off and on. I think I had cable for maybe like 2 or 3 years out of my childhood. So like getting to know these characters at all was pretty crazy. But you go on the bottom left, that guy is Crash Nebula. He is a very lightly featured cameo in Fairly Odd Parents.
Okay.
So he's like a fictional character in that universe. To the right on the bottom is Jenny Wakeman from My Life as a Teenage Robot, which is also a really fun show from Nickelodeon. Then above her, Ultra Lord from Nickelodeon. One of the main characters, Sheen, is just a huge super fan of Ultra Lord and talks about it all the time.
Yeah, they used to call me Jimmy Neutron in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite the nickname. Well, I guess James, yeah, that makes sense. James Isaac Neutron.
Yeah.
But then, of course, to the left, you got Danny Phantom, who's probably the more well-known of those characters since he had a full show about him.
Yeah.
One of my personal favorite characters, which was funny, is that I actually, in my bedroom growing up, I had an old school locker that my mom had gotten from middle school that I'd spray painted silver, put his logo on there, and there's a whole Danny Phantom locker. I wish I had a picture of it. So the fact that Butch Hartman, the creator of it, liked this was like cool full circle moment.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then big red guy in the middle, Crimson Chin, Fairly Odd Parents. I kind of imagine him as like maybe like being a leader of a superhero team or something. He's kind of one of those outrageous type of characters. I mean, he was bit in the chin by a radioactive actor. So dumb, but so awesome. To the right of him, or I guess to our right, would be El Tigre. I didn't watch a whole lot of that show because that was kind of after I was a kid. But I got so many requests to add him in. And I was like, you know, fair enough. Let's add him. Above him is Catman, also from Fairly Odd Parents. You can tell which show that I watched more often growing up. And he was actually voiced by Adam West.
Nice.
Pretty cool. So it kind of just made sense. And then to the left, you have Barnacle Boy, who is the sidekick to the guy on the left, Mermaid Man.
Nice. What are they from?
They're from SpongeBob.
SpongeBob
Nice.
SquarePants.
I love it.
Of course, in that show, they're old and retired, and you know they're not really doing anything. So I wanted to have them in their heyday.
Yeah, we're getting some love from the chat. They're loving it, and
I appreciate that.
I've also got Ben consoling me that my 2090 is still a decent car. Telling someone that has something old that it's still decent doesn't make them feel much better.
You just know they're trying to make you better, and that's what makes it worse.
Exactly. Yeah, Steve, I don't notice all those gray hairs you have. Thanks. Well, this is a cool concept, man. I like it. I do like it. So you said that some of the creators were actually chiming in on it too, liking it and stuff.
Well, I've been tagging Butch Hartman, who created most of these guys, especially with Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, and he's liked it and he shared it on his stories, which is really cool because again, he created a lot of kids' childhoods, including mine. And the fact I was able to get Dan Kemp to color this one, extra added bonus. I love working with that guy. The fact that I'm able to work with him at all is just insane. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So next up is the villains piece then.
Yes, which I do have updates on my Instagram of it. I should have posts about the pencils and inks. So you'd have to kind of go a ways because I have a bad habit of just posting a lot, which kind of can be good, but also, some people might get annoyed. But, when you do stuff every day. There it is. That was the day I sold the pencils. So this one, there's a lot more deep cuts for some people. And what's funny is that
Jim in there. So that's already a good start.
Oh, yeah. What's funny is that a follower of mine met Butch Hartman and showed him this. And the guy on the bottom writes, that's Dark Laser, which of course is a Darth Vader, ripoff.
Yeah.
And on his shoulder is Flipsy the dog, which he always has. And he always kind of goes like, how someone goes and they see like a cute kitten he basically does that exact same thing in the show. And so Butch Hartman apparently was like loving the fact that I added that.
Nice.
But yeah, you got Dark Layers in the bottom right with Flipsy the dog on his shoulder, Zim in the middle. Bottom left is my rendition of El Oso from El Tigre, which if people have watched the show, like they'll kind of tell that it's him just by some basic design elements, but of course it looks a lot more menacing. And what I was doing, I kind of wanted to be like my Bane of this group a little bit.
What's his name again?
El Oso.
El
So
Oso.
OSO.
What show is he from?
El Tigre.
I just gotta look it up to see a comparison here. I'd say he made a. Let's see. Okay.
Definitely made a creative decision for sure.
Um,
Which there are some people that caught it and understood what it was. Which I was like, dang.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting. Very different. Yeah, okay.
I like it. It kind of reminds me of the box office artist that does all like the Marvel versions of different characters and stuff. But obviously, you've got your spin and your style, which is super cool, man.
Yeah, so definitely a little unrecognizable for sure. But above him on the left, that's Vlad. He's a villain from Danny Phantom. In the middle above Zim, that's the Nega Chin, which you have to be very careful saying his name. But yeah, it's on Instagram. People like try to really trip you up. They really, yeah. Anyway, so he's basically just the inverse of the Crimson Chin and a villain. To the right, you got the Bronze Kneecap, another Crimson Chin villain, which I kind of want to make him sort of like the Doctor Doom of the team, you know, the cool metal mask and make him look more intimidating because he's a dumb concept of a character, if we're being quite honest. But above him,
there's been so many other really cool ones, like the dude with the starfish on his face.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't want to bring that down.
Exactly right. That one there is Vexus, who is a main villain for Jenny Wakeman, the Teenage Robot show. That was kind of a fun, like almost Egyptian praying mantis style design. I didn't change her too much. Both her and Jenny Wakeman I kind of kept very similar because I didn't really know how people would handle me overhauling those ones. And then to the left in the middle is Desiree, a Danny Phantom villain. Then to the left of that is Man Ray, who is the villain of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I mean, kind of makes sense. Then all behind them is the Dirty Bubble, which is another Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy villain, which I'm really curious to see what Dan does with the colors for him. I mean, he knows these characters are. I've told him who they are, but you never know. Maybe he'll take some really interesting creative, license with that. But yeah, that was a fun kind of overseeing everybody.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Very cool. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I feel like you did mention in the chat last week that you were working on something for potentially shown in Nickelodeon.
Yeah, we're trying to put together a pitch to basically launch a series of comics around these different characters and kind of not necessarily leave behind the childish aspects of them, but kind of have a slightly more serious approach to them. And because the way we kind of think about it is that the people who grew up watching these shows are, again, like I mentioned before, late 20s, early 30s. And that falls right into the main category of age groups that are primary comic book buyers, So we kind of figure that hit the sweet spot of both nostalgia and demand, and also the fact that it's received such a response compared to pretty much everything else I've done. I mean, it shows that there is a market for it. There are people who love this stuff and don't really get enough of it. I mean, the amount of times I got comments, people saying, I want an Ultra Lord action figure or a comic book, and I've never gotten one. I think it just shows there's an untapped market, which we're trying to hit. But, we're just trying to figure out how we could actually get that pitch going, because Nickelodeon, much like a lot of the companies, aren't necessarily super open to just random submissions and pitches and stuff. So just kind of figuring out how it's going to work is the main challenge at the moment. But
well,
yeah.
I know they have, and I think it might still be going on, but they do have like an Invader Zim comic.
They do.
And I'm wondering, so like with it, like the Ninja Turtles in particular, like they licensed out the rights for the comics to different companies. I'm wondering if maybe you need to talk to those companies downstream more than you need to talk to Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I've definitely considered that. I mean, in fact, I ran into some of those Invader Zim comics at a comic shop in South Dakota a couple weeks back before a convention. I was like, holy crap, they actually have these. And there's also like a couple of Danny Phantom graphic novels, but they're like graphic novels for kids. And let's be honest, like no little kids today ever grew up watching the show unless their parents have, Paramount Plus and show it to them intentionally, right?
Right.
So again, the main audience is adults. So yeah, that's a pretty good idea because again, like I said, Nickelodeon licensed out the Turtles to IDW, and the fact that I've already done a cover for an IDW Turtles book, definitely helps that I've actually worked with them before. But yeah, we'll have to try that out. Again, we're just trying out different avenues. I mean, you could either go straight to Paramount, which would be a lot harder, or Nickelodeon, which would also be kind of difficult, or just trying to approach Butch Hartman directly, which, we're working up to where we have the finalized pitch. Cause at this point, I'm just designing a lot of characters or I guess redesigning them for the purpose of the book. In fact, the most recent one I did was another Danny Phantom villain named Skulker. I think I posted that one yesterday.
Saw that.
But, yeah. So just trying to put it all together, kind of show or put in the pitch what all these characters would look like, what the story would feel like. And we want to make it to where there's a team up book. And then from there, you can just go off in their own different universes, do their own different thing, and have their own tones. Like, for instance, I mentioned Crimson Chin's pretty silly. So you can kind of make it sort of a Batman parody type of book where at points it takes itself seriously, but then other points it's just ridiculous and insane. And so it's like, yeah. But yeah, each book would have its own vibe, but I would love to do as much work for that as possible. But again, it's one of those things where you just got to get them on board first and get their attention. And that's most of it.
Have you put any sequentials together yet?
I've done a couple layouts, nothing pretty concrete yet. I've been kind of doing a couple different projects at the moment, but I'm going to try to do sort of like a couple of pages of sequentials to show, like, for instance, the main one I'm going to be working on is kind of a comic book reimagining of Danny Phantom's origin story. Just kind of show what it would look like, how it would feel, how the story would flow, what my storytelling vibe is. But I'm definitely, again, I got the rough layouts. I just got to fine tweak them a little bit.
Yeah. I've never pitched anything as far as like going to a big publisher or anything like that. So I don't know what the best advice would be.
Neither do I. I've never done this before either. So
yeah. So if you find who you need to talk to, let me know, because I am working on something that I would like to pitch down the day. And as far as like a graphic novel card game combo, I've shown some of it on the stream here before, but it's one of those things that, like, yeah, the IP, I would like to be able to manage it and do whatever with, but I'm also like, if someone wants to buy it and just give me a bag of money, I would not be upset either. I actually just sent off, there's a gal I've been talking about. She wanted to do digital inks a while ago, so I sent her some demo stuff to see about doing some digital inks for me. So
nice.
So we'll see how that goes. First time working with another person in the process, so kind of learning my way around that one.
Yeah, I haven't worked with any inkers yet. I've worked with a couple of colorists, just because, like, I feel like if I'm gonna pay for one thing, it's gonna be colors, because that's definitely where I fall short.
Yeah.
But what's cool is that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I feel you there. I did the same thing.
Yeah. But what's nice though is that with this pitch, we already have some people that have basically said to be down to be a part of the creative team. Got a couple of colorists, inkers. So if we do get the chance to have a pitch meeting with them, we'd say, hey, we have talent ready to go. There are people who have worked in the industry. There are people who really know the way around it, that put out a good quality product. Again, it's just about getting that meeting in the first place and helping them to see the need, or I guess the demand for it, rather.
No. Yeah. Have you ever sat down for like a portfolio review?
I did at Baltimore Comic-Con 2 years ago. I think it was Brittany Holzer that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one. And that was, part of me wishes I could go back and do it again with my new stuff, just because I look back at some of the things I showed her and I'm just like, okay, I probably wouldn't show her that at this point.
Probably should have done that.
Yeah, I was like, let's try something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing is just what was nice though is that when I did that, I had actually talked to Todd McFarlane like a month or two before via like his Discord portfolio reviews.
Oh, cool.
And he gave me the exact same advice that she did. Or I guess she gave me the exact same advice that he did because he did it first. So I was like, okay, cool. I know exactly what I need to do because two people who are, do a really good job in the industry said the exact same thing. I know where to go. It makes it a lot easier for me to attack my weaknesses, I guess.
Almost like a put your ego aside moment because you're like, I got told the same exact thing twice. It's not even like the first time. It was. Like,
I'd be pretty stupid not to listen.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe if Stan Lee were still around, he would say different. So what was the golden advice? What they say?
Well, it was actually pretty specific. Some of the pieces that I'd shown them, I was still working on nailing down how I wanted to approach anatomy. Whether I want to, do more exaggerated proportions or more realistic proportions, relatively speaking. And there's a couple pieces that I showed where at the time I was really working on leg muscles and the structures of the, and so when I showed them these pieces, they're like, well, your thighs are wider than your character's hips. You might not want to do that. It's like, that is a fair point, So that was the main thing, but they talked about, using line weights a little bit better, which I've definitely worked a lot more on recently. And the main thing was expression, which is another thing that I've really tried to work on. So yeah, just those two or three same things. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I should listen. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I commend you because it does take a certain amount of humility to step in front of somebody and be like, intentionally judge me.
Yes.
And I'm not asking you to be polite or kind. Mm-hmm. Just tell me what it is that I need to do.
Especially with the portfolio review at Baltimore Comic-Con, because I was the first artist to get reviewed that day. And so here I'm in this room full of other artists sitting there while she's telling me all these things like, all right, cool.
Oh,
extra humility. Yeah. Well, like you're up on a table like a stage and they're like all down below. So she's not necessarily speaking super loud so everyone can hear, but if you're in the front row, you probably could hear everything she said.
Yeah.
So, but again, like you said, definitely a moment where you kind of have to realize like, okay, I've improved on things, but there's always ways to learn. There's always ways that I can be better. And if she's worked with people like, she's worked with writers like Scott Snyder, like she introduced me to Scott Snyder that night, so like she knows these really talented people. And so she knows what she's talking about. And then of course, Todd McFarlane, name speaks for itself. So again, be stupid not to listen.
Oh, well, I can tell you, I've only known you for a few years now, I think. And I feel like even just looking at this page with these pencils here, I mean, you've made some really strong improvements. Some of them are subtle, but like, especially like you're saying with the anatomy, looking through like all those little muscles and tendons and stuff, you are definitely not trying to hide anything. You are confident in these lines that you're putting in. So
yeah, definitely trying to be. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So once you crack that nut on figuring out who we need to pitch stuff to, let me know.
Yeah, because I'm trying to do that for another thing I'm working on too. It's a script I've been sitting on for like 3 years, and I'm finally doing something with it. And my whole mentality with that is like, if I can pitch it and get someone to publish it, great. But if not, then I'm just going to go the Kickstarter route because I've seen you've had success with that, and I've seen other friends have a lot of success with Kickstarters, and so we'll see.
Just put up a video on Kickstarters. I've had the same conversation multiple times. Actually, I had this similar conversation with James about Kickstarters. We sat down, we talked about it, and some people are more hesitant. James is pretty chomping at the bit, like, yeah, I need to do this. I'm going to do something. I've talked to other artists who are like, I don't know. And it's like, well, what's holding you back? And it's usually like the same, like 3 things. One is like, well, I'm really busy. I don't know when I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Other bit is like, well, I don't want to be like begging for money. Like I feel weird asking for money. And then the other one is like, well, what if I put it up there? I need to raise $5,000 and and I fall short.
I'm the hesitant one. It's me.
Surprisingly, Mikkel, you're not the only person I talked to last weekend. I feel like I need to get a job working for Kickstarter.
Yeah, you can be their representative.
I have talked to, outside of Mikkel, probably 4 or 5 other artists in the last month about doing a Kickstarter and process and realistically what kind of goals to set and then where to spend your time, that sort of thing. I am by no means amazing at it, right? I just know how to set them up. I know how to make the things. I know how to ship them out.
Yeah.
My most successful one didn't crack 10 grand, right? There are guys that can go on there and do a $30,000, $60,000, $100,000 Kickstarter. I'm making enough money to like get a shit ton of books to go sell.
Yeah.
That is like starting capital. At least I don't have to pay out of pocket plus the time of making the thing.
Right.
My time making the thing, and then they help me get the books.
Yeah, my main thing that I want to try to do is again get the book funded, but also with this book I'm gonna do issue 1 first, both pencils and digital inks, and then I want to get to where I get enough in Kickstarter to where I can pay one of the colorists that I use to go in color the book, another colorist to color the covers, because again I can color it, but if I can get someone who knows what they're doing to color it for me, that's a win. So. Yeah. That because when I thought about doing Kickstarter, like obviously you were one of the first people I thought. I was like, I know that guy's done it. I know he's had a bit of success, so I'll talk with him. I got other people that I'll talk to, but yeah.
I got a YouTube video up. It's like 45 minutes long. The first 10 minutes is like why you should do a Kickstarter. So you can pretty much skip all that if you're already bought in on it. But it pretty much all I do is I say, go to whoever you're going to make your books through or whatever the product is that you're making. See how much it's going to cost to make like 100 of those things. Because your first Kickstarter, like let's say you don't tip the viral scales. You don't go crazy. Let's say you have like 30 people back you or 40 people back you. You should probably shoot to get 100 books made. Yeah. Right. That's a pretty reasonable amount to like shoot for. Or like James with doing the cards, maybe you're shooting to have 100 sets of cards made, whatever it might be. 100 tends to be when you get a price break.
Yeah.
So shoot for that 100, work backwards from there. And it's really not that hard to do. I'm thinking about this.
And there are people on Kickstarter. Oh, sorry, Steve.
No, go for it.
No, I was going to say there's people on Kickstarter that are willing to just throw money at new, interesting, cool things. Literally, like just throw money at you. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. You're all amazing.
There's people who literally that's the main comics they read is just independent stuff. It's like, oh, I want to fund this, be a part of this. That's surprising.
What's wild is there's forget the video game. There was one I was checking out. This was years ago. Someone was making a video game and they had some ridiculous tiers, but you can look and see how many people bought them. They had tiers for like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 where they would fly you out to their studio somewhere in California. They'd put you up in a hotel for the night, take you out for dinner with all of the game devs. And I forget what all it said, but it's pretty much just like your open forum to talk to them, Q&As and just hang out and that kind of thing. And there's a handful of people that bought it.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Oh, to have that kind of disposable income.
Dude, people on the internet have that money, man. They got that money. So it doesn't hurt to have, like early on, you may not want to be like, here's the $10,000 thing, but like if you have a buy it all or I want it all and it's like $300, chances are you'll get a few people that buy it.
Yeah.
So,
and what's there to lose, right? It doesn't kickstart.
Well, the thing is, for a lot of people, it's the pride of like everyone can see what numbers. And like, well, if only 20 people got on to back you and you didn't hit your goal, there's about 20 people that are going to know that you didn't hit your goal.
Right.
And if it's something you're going to do anyways, you don't have to make your goal $10,000. You can literally make it $300 if you want, $500, $1,000.
What I did. Yeah.
And that's what I currently do.
Yeah.
So all these times that people are like, we hit our Kickstarter goal in less than a minute. Well, they might have had a goal of $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just leave out that small little piece of information, you know.
Yeah.
Granted, some of them do have like $10,000 goals and they do hit it in a minute, and that is impressive. But statistically speaking, most of them are not in that boat.
No.
So speaking of Kickstarter, James, yours wrapped up, what, about a month or so ago?
Yeah, the 14th. Yep.
So how are you in fulfillment stage yet, or are you still waiting on stuff to come in?
So I'm still working with a couple of different vendors as far as pricing for the holographic cards, like the rares and the ultra rares. Just because pricing is funny with holographic. So I'm trying to figure out which one's going to give me the best deal for the best quality. So I got a couple samples in. I'm just kind of evaluating those, but I've got sketch cards on the way, so I'm going to start fulfilling those soon, or start drawing in sketch cards. I have like 12 sketch card commissions to do, and one 9x12 commission to do. Or actually, no, it's a sketch blank commission. I'm sorry. So I'm going to be fulfilling that real soon. I'm in pump out work mode because I'm just a smidge behind on commissions, so I'm trying to catch up on commissions so that I can start knocking those out too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So DJ, what would you be looking to do Kickstarter wise then?
Well, I'm trying to think of it because I have another book that I did for somebody else who's going to fund that with Kickstarter. So I'm trying to look at what they're doing. And the thing they did was, of course, the book, there's a variant cover, maybe some like trading cards. He had me design like trading cards he'd print out of the different characters in that book. So for the Kickstarter I want to do, I'll have a regular cover, variant covers. I kind of want to do a black and white edition of the books where it's just my pencils and inks, if of course I get funded to that degree. I also do like sketch cards, so I'll probably include that, maybe a sketch of some of the main characters. Although the book I'm going to be working on isn't really a superhero book, so doing a whole lot of character sketch cards may not actually make sense for that genre of what I'm doing. Maybe just like the main character or something like that, but mostly just variants with covers and black and white, and kind of just going from there. Honestly, I've only really decided to do Kickstarter with this book like over the past week, so the thought that's gone into it has not been extensive. But as I go more into it, I'll probably add some more things, and I'll see what makes sense, what doesn't. In fact, the guy also did that I did the book for is that he wants to make a tier where if you pay a certain amount for it, you get a page of the original pencils of the book, which I think is a cool incentive. So I might just yank that over for my Kickstarter whenever I do it. So there's an idea.
Absolutely. It is kind of hard to sell pages individually, as it turns out.
Yeah.
I currently in my closet, if a thief breaks in, it's like right over there. I have a stack of like this of pages I've done for previous books.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep having the intention of like, I'm going to bring this somewhere, or I'm going to put them up online. And I'm like, I just need to do that on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not asking the full price that you would want, even if it's like a bump, you'll probably sell a bunch of them.
Well, I think the alternative would be, just to wait about 15 years and then have some of your stuff, go pretty viral. And then all of a sudden someone's willing to pay like $10,000 for it.
Right. Just wait 15 years. Hope to God you get super famous.
Yeah.
And you got
playing the long game.
Plan. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's the same mindset that goes into collecting like key issues of comics, long game.
I'm not lazy. I'm just playing the long game. Well, when you're ready to start talking about setting up your Kickstarter, if you want a hand, feel free to hit me up, dude. Like,
absolutely.
I have no problem taking some time to help people out. My only word of caution, speaking from experience on my first Kickstarter, is to be careful with how crazy you go with variant covers.
Yeah.
To get those discounts for your print run, depending on who you're printing with.
Right.
I kind of shot myself in the foot the first time. The print shop I was using I forget what the minimum order was. I think it was like 50 covers to get a decent discount.
Mm.
And I unfortunately had some variant covers that I sold like one of or two of.
Mm.
And then I was like, well, crap, maybe those weren't as good as I thought they were. And now here I am with 48 additional covers I'm trying to sell. Maybe make those, if there's certain ones, maybe make them stretch goals, like they unlock at a certain point.
Right.
Or just keep it really simple and just take a few of your absolute favorites.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to make it a rule for myself that I'm not doing more than 4.
Yeah. I'm definitely not planning on doing more than 3 variants.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point it just might get a little, because one of them is going to be the black and white one. And I think doing more than that would be, especially if it's just a first time Kickstarter, like I think doing more than that would be overtly optimistic, to say the least. But.
Yeah. But you don't know until you try it, right? You never know. Never know what'll happen. And
maybe I'll just sneak a Nickelodeon character in one of the variants, and then that'll be the one that sells. And then get sued.
You'd be surprised, man. If you click around on Kickstarter, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
One thing you might want to think about doing. So I did this with my first issue, Slaughter Dolls, was instead of doing like a full book of pencils and inks, I made like an extended cut. So it was still issue 1, but then I think I had like 20 or 30 extra pages in the back of some of what you're talking about, more inks, maybe some different promo prints that didn't get printed, whatever it might be. If it kind of helps consolidate a couple of ideas into one, so you can get the best of both worlds, a little peanut butter in your chocolate kind of deal.
Yeah.
That might be an option too.
Yeah, like there's oh gosh, what was it? It was All-Star Batman and Robin. There was a special edition for issue number 1 where all the interior artwork was just Jim Lee's pencils. They had some like concept art in the back of the book. Might do something like that because the main character in my book has gone through several redesigns just in the past 2 months alone, not even mentioning the past like 3 years. Oh, yeah. So you can show like the evolution of what this character has looked like up until the finalized version and why I went to that decision. You know, just kind of some behind the scenes stuff that also is a variant cover or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're running up on time here. I've got a few different topics. I'll let you guys pick. And if you guys want to chime in too, we got 3 topics. I've got a short talking about what the new data centers are doing to the local water and local families for Mark Zuckerberg's data center that he just put in.
Okay.
That's topic 1. Topic 2 is how to find your art style. So I'm talking about developing your character and that sort of thing. How to find your art style. And then last but not least is when it comes to writing characters, talking about how you make them interesting with character flaws and stuff. What would you rather talk about? 1, 2, or 3?
I vote the art style. I vote number 2.
I vote that as well. I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Chat, you have veto power.
If you want to talk about data centers, we can do it.
If you want to talk about that,
we can talk about it.
It is interesting.
I'll have very little to say because I don't know anything about it. But
well, I'm going to just show you here real quick. We won't talk about it in depth. I will show you what I found here. What Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want you to see.
Oh, man.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen.
Oof.
This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So from an infrastructure standpoint,
how is it affecting the water? I don't
know the details because I only watched the short, and the short is more just them walking around and like at one point she walks outside and she's like, "Look, you can see it from here. It's 400 yards away." Like, okay. Apparently, the amount of water that they've got to use between like cooling and all that good stuff. Apparently, they're just burning through water, and then whatever returns that they have, allegedly, they're overwhelming their, I don't know, sanitation departments.
Interesting.
That makes sense though. Again, all the data that's on Facebook and everything, like, because I used to, when I worked in manufacturing, used to make chiller units, which was for, databases and computers, much like what they're probably using. And yeah, those use a lot of water.
Yeah. So that is the more that they talk about the was it 400 or 500 billion dollars that they're spending on data centers to be put in across the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just going to be another. It's going to be another thing.
Oh,
Yeah, yikes.
fun.
It's gonna turn into the next what's that place that had to get shut down because all the chemical dumping that was happening. Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
That was like 20, 30 years ago. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. there was a lot. They were literally, they had a company that was just dumping chemicals into the like their main water stream and not telling anybody. And yeah, people were getting sick and getting
So it's
cancer.
it was still kind of happening with farms recently with all the runoff. They talk about the runoff from these fields. With the amount of like Roundup and stuff, like the different chemicals that they would spray allegedly would cause these issues in the water. And if you look at the pictures of farms that don't use any sort of chemical sprays for pesticides versus farms that do, it looks like normal water down in the river versus like rainbow colored, like oil sheen, like chemicals.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that's true though. Sometimes the internet tells you stuff.
Yeah, the internet be crazy.
Yeah. Yes,
But
it
it's the
does.
internet. They don't lie to us on the internet.
I wish we could believe that nowadays. Well, actually, no, I don't wish, because there's a lot of insane things that if you did believe them, you'd probably, go insane with anxiety.
I feel like I can believe even less things on the internet than I ever have before in my entire life.
Yeah.
Anytime I start to see a fantastic video on anything, I'm just like, skip. It's probably fake. It's probably AI. It's probably
Yep, probably.
or out of context.
Well, now it's like, if you see something online, you see like a video of someone talking about it, it's like, okay, well, this is what this person thinks. What does the next person think? What does the next person? Who is this person? You have to become an investigator to figure out like how reliable that person is, and then figure out like, okay, what's their motivation? What's their incentive for giving me this? It's
become a lot of extra work just to find out what's real and what's not on the internet.
Yeah, we're well past the days of Walter Cronkite, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Project Mockingbird. Anyways, they so one of the photos that was circulating when Katy Perry went to space was when they landed. There's a photo of what looked like a mannequin hand in the landing module.
Yeah.
And come to find out that someone chimed in that it's actually a photo from a test flight from another thing from like years ago.
Oh wow, that's funny.
And if you look at it, even like the bottom of the thing doesn't match the current like Katy Perry ship. But everyone's like, yeah, they put mannequins in space. It's like, I don't even know what they left the ground.
It still cracks me with the video where like Katy Perry's just floating in front of the camera holding a flower. It's like, what are you trying to do? Like, if I was in space, like I'd be looking out the window, gawking at the beauty of the earth. Like, that's what I'd be doing, not just staring into a freaking camera, just holding up a flower.
I've never been to space, so I don't know how I would react. I might do the same thing. I might do the same thing. Land, kiss the ground, grab a flower. You never know.
Well, I mean, like when she's in the pod and they're like floating, she's like just with the flower in front of her.
That when she did? She brought a flower to space?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
I feel like customs would have an issue with that.
The alien customs. Excuse me, ma'am.
All
right. Hold on, that is a foreign biological, object. We can't allow that here.
So you were talking about your style evolving over time. I think all of us as artists, we tend to evolve a bit. You learn some things, learn new techniques and styles. Here's one guy's perspective on it, aimed towards newer artists. Let's see what you guys think about this and talk about how you guys kind of evolved over time.
I'm going to show you the best way to find your art style. I want you to think of your art style like your taste, and that you only know which food you like after you have tried it. Once you got that, it's very easy to do. Start by finding who your favorite artists are. Then write what you like about each of them. Then trace and study their work. And finally, make an illustration combining everything that you like about them. This is by far my favorite method because it works with every art style. If you want to find your art style, go to digitalpaintingmaster.com/artstyle for a free workshop. I'm going to show you.
Okay. That's a pretty good breakdown.
It's from Lucas Pianador. So if you guys want to see his content, head over there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
DJ, you're the guest. We'll get your opinion first.
I think there's a lot. It hits a lot of things right on the head. You know, like one of the main things that I have tried to do is, I have my favorite artists that I like to collect and read about. My main top one is Greg Capullo, and then Jim Lee, and then it goes down from there with a lot of different artists. And I always have thought the phrase of draw what you like. And so as for a long time, I tried to draw almost exactly like Greg Capullo or Jim Lee and try to do exactly the things they did. And of course, that's not really going to help you because that's not your style. But whatever comes after you've digested all of that in your head, that's the style. What comes most natural with the information that you now have. And what's weird is that nowadays I kind of feel like at least the anatomy outside of the facial structure, my art style more resembles stuff like Ryan Otley, which is weird. I love Ryan Otley, but that's not something that I ever really aimed for. It's not obviously exact, but there's things that I noticed. It's like, oh, I kind of like how I did that, and that's what Ryan Otley does. But yeah, finding the artists that you like, figuring out why you like them, whether it's the rendering they do or the type of anatomy, their composition, and that's a big thing too. Is really focusing on composition, because that's something that I ignored for a long time, which was really stupid of me. But yeah, no, I think the video pretty much nails it. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I can pretty much agree with that. I think for me, it was a much longer journey than it probably needed to be. And I still feel like I'm still refining my style a little bit, and I don't think you ever stop refining your style. But for me, it was always I wanted to draw like Jim Lee. Okay, so I would just draw everything Jim Lee drew. And then I would, I'm like, oh, David Finch would start doing tutorials on YouTube, and I'd redraw everything that he was drawing, right?
Yep.
So it worked to a degree, but what slowed me down so much was that I wasn't doing the foundational exercises properly. I wasn't learning the proper foundation before I even did anything on top of it. So I would end up with this kind of a mess of a drawing. What maybe looked good because I was mimicking whatever Jim Lee and Dave Finch was drawing. But then when I went to go draw on my own, it was completely not what I wanted at all. So once I snapped out of that and I went back to okay, everything has to be the foundation has to be perfect before I even start laying anything over top of it, because really your rendering style, it's just like the cake. That's like the icing on top of the cake,
Mm-hmm.
So once I got the actual cake down, then the icing came, and then that's kind of where my style started becoming more and more defined. So
I feel like I did the exact same thing where I would just try to find a piece by Greg Capullo and I draw that, and it looked fine, but then I look over and try to do stuff on my own, and it just wasn't translating. So yeah, anatomy books, composition books, David Finch tutorials were huge as far as getting the rib cage, the arms and everything, and gesture drawings. And the thing with me is that most of my life, I was always the kid doodling in the back of class, but I always hated the idea of practicing drawing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If I was going to draw something, I wanted to finish it, and I wanted to be good, and I wanted to be, finalized. Yep. And so the idea of just sketching just for the sake of practice, warm-ups and stuff like that just seemed stupid to me for a long time. And then finally when I reached sort of a wall, I was like, well, yeah, no, they were onto something. I'm an idiot, so I'm going to have to actually do that. And again, we talked about before of kind of overcoming your own personal ego. And that's a huge thing that I had to get over, was because I've always been a decent artist, and a lot of my classes would be like, oh man, you're so good at drawing. So my ego would be pretty full. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. I had no clue. Mm-hmm. So actually studying and then letting your style flow from there, like you said, I wish I would have done it years ago, because I'd be so much further along, but you can't change that. So
Yep. You can only move forward from where you're at. Yep.
It's the not exciting advice to give to artists. I'm sure you guys have had it at conventions where people will come up and they'll show you their drawings and they want advice.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tend to do, because I already know how the conversation is going to play out, and it's going to go one of two ways. And I ask them, what do you know that you need to work on? And usually they will tell me basically the fundamentals, right? Anatomy, perspective, the stuff that you actually have to practice. There's a science to drawing, and then there's an art to drawing.
Mhm.
Very mathematical, technical side that you really do need to know. Even if you're going to start breaking rules with your own style and do your own thing, like you got to start from what fundamentally works.
I mean, you got to know what rules to break in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And so they'll either tell me the things that they know they need to fix, and it takes a lot of pressure off of me. And I'm like, yeah, you need to do that. Like, what's keeping you from doing that? I'm like, well, it's not the most fun thing. It's like, okay, well, if you're gonna sit down and make one cool drawing that you like to do that's fun, do one practice alongside that. Before you sit down and draw, do one fundamental. Study the Loomis method, study that stuff, study anatomy. And then try to incorporate one of those things in the cool thing that you're gonna draw that you're gonna have fun with. The other bit is when they say, oh no, I think I'm really good. I think I just need a shot somewhere. And it's like, there's not much I can do for you.
Yeah. And it's either one of two things. Either they are really good and they're just undiscovered and they're for some reason not on social media, or B, they're not ready for that and they're not willing to accept that.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah. It happens.
Yep.
It happens. I think for me, I kind of had the flip side of things to an extent. So growing up, the only drawing book that we had in our house was the that I recall anyways, is the How to Draw the Marvel Way. And I studied the hell out of that thing. Now, the part that I didn't like was how to draw in perspective. And it turns out that's a pretty important part of that book. So yeah, that was one of those things that later in life I had to take a look at myself and be like, okay, I need to spend time on this. I actually need to figure this part out. But as far as style goes, I don't know, man. Like you get those different influences. I don't necessarily like the idea that this guy has as far as like write down the 3 things that you like and then trace their work.
No, yeah.
You can, like you guys said, follow along Dave Finch or Jim Lee and like follow what they're doing. But I don't think you necessarily need to trace it.
No. Yeah, I mean breaking down what makes their style unique definitely gives you the, and then recreating that will definitely help you evolve that. Definitely. But
and I think a big thing too is that if someone's trying to figure out their style, I think the biggest thing too is figure out how exactly you learn, which sounds like silly advice, but there's a lot of people, myself included for a long time, who didn't know how they best retain information.
Yeah.
Whether it's through repetition, which is me. Like, for instance, several years back for work, I had to, I needed to be able to translate in another language. And I needed to learn a new language. And so I was studying and I wasn't getting anywhere. And then finally I figured out like repetition was the key. Recite the word in that language. And then recite the definition in English, back and forth, just over and over and over and over again. And it's the same thing with art now. Like I'll go through a concept, like just this past week, I was going through drawing tutorials of David Finch for hands because I wanted to improve on hands. So I'd stop on different spots where he was showing different angles and different things over and over and over again. Here's the shape of the finger over and over and over again. Same thing with the palms, the hands, the wrists, everything like that. Just repetition was the thing for me that made things really stick. But just because you have one repetition session doesn't mean it's going to stay forever. So that's the exhausting part of it, is that you're going to have to do that again at some point to refine some things, maybe fine tune some stuff. But again, finding out how you learn is probably the most important and least talked about part of learning a craft, not just drawing, but a craft in general.
Yep, totally agree with that.
Yeah, some people need structure like a classroom. Some people just need the book, and that book might be YouTube, that book might be whatever, but yeah, that's a huge part. One last thing I'll say to all of that is one of the things I've been doing this year is I've been trying to step up my coloring game. So I've been watching a lot of how to color anime style. So I feel like some of these anime artists are absolutely insane. I don't fully understand like how they're doing what they're doing. And just learning some of those tips and tricks has made a huge difference in what I'm doing. So yeah, I think studying outside of your comfort zone or outside of what you're trying to do, sometimes you learn relevant stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I have a manga style book that I have, like action manga that I've gone through a couple times. And like you said, it just helps you kind of open your mind a little bit to where if you're feeling stuck, that can help unlock it a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to end with one quick advice question from Reddit, and then we're going to call it a night here. This is our newest segment where we become a quick advice show, and it's this one's pretty interesting. I didn't know that this was still a problem. So apparently, according to Reddit, kids are still sagging their pants at school. I thought, well, you know, they say things come and go in styles, or in the decades or whatever. So like the 70s came back with like the bell bottom jeans and stuff, and then like the 80s came back with like the punk rock stuff and the hair. And apparently, drooping your pants down, apparently now it's called sagging. Sounds worse than drooping.
Yeah.
So sagging your pants has become a cool thing to do. And our friend here, this is Plastic Jeweler 6664. So she's a 27-year-old female teacher at a school where there isn't much of any dress code enforced, but the boys especially are sagging their pants to the point their entire butt is hanging out and walking around the classroom. Or, for example, sitting on the couch in the student lounge with loose shorts where anyone can see straight down their pants. I've asked them multiple times to pull up their pants, or please position yourself in another way so no one wants to see their underwear or below their pants. Every time the response is, "Why you looking?" or "Don't you have a boyfriend?" Which is a weird like thing, I guess, to say back to your teacher.
Yeah, this is a weird, definitely not a great part of
Yeah.
area.
Am I crazy for being fed up for seeing their butts hanging out of their pants the whole day?
I mean, no.
Apparently, this is not. They want to make sure it's not a race or demographic thing. This is an equal opportunity pants sagging situation. So before y'all go off in the chat saying that this is a one thing or the other, all the boys are doing it.
That's funny.
Well, what's so weird about that is that, like, I've noticed that along with that, there's a new trend of kind of going back to the 80s style of shorts. Like, shorts are a lot higher up than they used to even when I was in high school. Because when I was in high school, you wore shorts that went down to your knees.
Yeah.
And that was the normal length. Like, anything higher than that was a little weird. Nowadays, it's like mid-thigh or nothing.
Yeah, you don't want to show your thighs off, guys.
No.
Don't be showing off your thighs.
I sure as hell don't. No one wants to see that.
Which is interesting because if you're drooping, you're covering your thighs, you're covering your knees, possibly even in your shins, but you're showing off the booty. Like,
I guess if you're proud of that.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know why this is still a thing. But I mean, it's got to be some sort of weird like dominancy thingy. I don't know. I have no idea. Like animals in the wild. You know what I mean? Like. I don't know.
I'm too neurotic of a person to where if my pants sag even a little bit, I'm paranoid the entire day. So if my shorts sag a little bit, I'm tightening them as best as I can and cutting off circulation.
So you know what's funny? I will straight up admit I was an offender when I was younger. I was a pants sagger. I thought I was cool. All the cool kids thought they were doing it, and they thought they were cool. So But what broke me of that is I had a counselor that would visit me. Long story, but he would come and visit me, and he told me that, and I was still a kid at the time, obviously, but he told me that the reason that they do that is because they would sag their pants in prison. Was what that meant was that they were ready to get some. So and then I was like, oh god, that kind of broke me right quick. Yeah. I was like, oh, so I started wearing a belt the next day. So,
it's like my what was that video where it's this lady like interviewing I don't know if he was an athlete or rapper or something, but it's like, your pants were sagging. How did they not fall down? What do you do? And he just looks at the cameras like, belt.
Yeah. So that broke me that pretty quick. I won't lie. So I don't know if that was actually true and that was just like a scare tactic or not. Probably
good
just a scare
tactic.
tactic. But yeah. So
Was your sagging a cry for help? Is that what was?
I just thought it was everybody else was doing it, so I thought it was cool. Like I don't know. So I was around a lot of those a lot of kids that did that. Sketch it sex already got there.
He had to get a crisis intervention for his sag situation.
So no, I just I was around all those types of kids that were doing that, and so I just was like, I don't know, I felt like I was kind of a part of that like clique of kids, by doing that, and like, I don't know, they never like, it was so weird. I don't know, being a kid is so weird. I would never do it again, to be honest with you.
I didn't realize that this advice question was going to hit so close to home. James, I apologize for putting you on the spot like this.
You're good, man. You're good.
What's funny is you were one of the kids that did that, and I was one of the stuck-up kids who judged the kids who did that.
Man, we're uncovering all kinds of stuff here today.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, I will say, so like I was, it was a lower income area that I went to school at the time, and there was a lot of kids that were at that specific school because of behavioral issues. So like that had a lot to do with that. Like these kids were already kind of like in that mentality, in that state of like whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
We're getting some deep lore cuts on James's upbringing here.
Now, how'd that make you feel?
A bit drafty, if anything.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. And I will admit, dude, like I don't know why you would want to do that, because it's not like comfortable to walk around, because you feel like you're getting pantsed all day long. Like it's what it feels like. Like they have, they're not above your butt, they have nowhere to go but down.
Well, what was really annoying about, when I was in school is that, especially like in elementary and middle school, and the kids would wear those kind of bands, right? We go outside and play football. Those were always the kids that were the fastest. And it pissed me off. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. You have no full range of motion for your legs. How does that work?
they're getting resistance training all day. The shorts are like resisting against their knees. So when they finally hike them up, they're like,
Yeah, so
five times faster.
you have to run fast to keep your pants up, right? Because if you don't run fast, they'll just fall right off.
Exactly.
It's just how physics works. You gotta be
And if
fast.
they do fall off, you do need to get somewhere in a hurry, because now you don't have any pants.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
This is an equation that solves itself.
Yes.
Well, guys, I'm going to take a pragmatic approach, because you guys are too busy reminiscing about your sagging situation. The two situations that we have is, she says that this happens when they're walking around the classroom. Number one, you need to institute a rule: no more walking around.
Yeah. There you go.
When they come in, they're done.
Yeah.
No more moving, no nothing. If they need a Kleenex, they need to convince somebody to go get them a Kleenex. Right? If they need to go use a
Use your
restroom,
selfie stick.
what's that?
Use your selfie stick.
Yeah, get the little grabber.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. And then the other bit is sitting on the couch in the student lounge. Well, guess what? We're gonna have to put plastic on the couch now. That's just how it is. You are not going to change these kids. These kids are who they are, and it turns out they're saggers. And you can't change the sagger until you bring in a licensed therapist to let them know that they're signaling.
Yeah.
So I think I solved today's advice question.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. James, where do you have any projects coming up for people to check out, or do you just want to plug Instagram?
Yeah, just give me a follow on Instagram. I'm actually going to be posting a lot more YouTube videos, so head on over to my YouTube channel as well. Give me a subscribe over there. Get me to that 500 mark. That'd be great.
Awesome. So check out at Sketching the Beast on YouTube. And DJ, any projects coming up you want people to check out, or anything that you want to plug?
Just keep an eye out for all the Nickelodeon artwork I'm putting out, and then I'll be putting more stuff out about my book that I'm working on as it keeps going. I'm just doing rough layouts right now, but yeah, I put out stuff every day, like sketch covers especially. That's a big kick that I'm on recently. Sell a lot of those on eBay, so if people like sketch covers and they think something's cool, check out the eBay store. and you can get to that through link in bio stuff on Instagram and all that good stuff. Not very hard to find, but
Excellent.
Yeah.
So give DJ a follow, check him out. He's gonna pop in here and there where he can. We're in like way different time zones and stuff. So like you've got another
are you on the East Coast?
East Coast.
Okay, yeah, because I'm in Kansas now. That's why I was kind of late because I was like I didn't realize we're in the different time zones. I came in, I was like, oh, I'm an hour late. Here we go. I'm on time.
Hey, it all kind of works out because like if I'm talking about conventions, like James came in a little bit late today, it's like I'll just talk about my convention. It's totally fine. We're a pretty open format show here.
Are you doing Heroes Con in June?
I am.
Hey, same here. First time doing it. I'm excited.
Excellent. Bring your original art, and definitely if you're doing commissions, make sure you have good signage for your commissions.
Yes. In fact, I'm gonna be I mean, you know Tobias.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tabling alongside a lot of his stuff, so I'll be
nice
around him most of the weekend. But yeah, I'm definitely bringing a lot of those. In fact, since I started doing conventions, I think it's you and like several others have always told me like get to Heroes Con, and finally when that's worked out to where I can do it, it's like finally. So
it's a good networking show.
When's Heroes Con?
June 22nd ish.
I think 20th through 22nd.
Man, darn. Okay.
So we'll be down there for that one. Excellent. Well, guys, chat, thank you for hanging out tonight. If you could hit that like button on the way out, those checking out Facebook and Instagram, if you could hit the like buttons there, that means a lot. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great night.
Peace.